your parents playing in your house as a kid growing up and stuff?
Hey, Toby, you go first.
Okay, so that's interesting because in my house, my dad loved classical music. So did my mom.
Oh,
So in my house, there was nothing modern. It was all classical music.
interesting. And so,
yeah.
and how did that influence you to get, like, how did you get to the harder rock part? I mean, obviously just through friends and stuff then?
Yeah, well, it was a long process because I was surrounded by classical music and I played the violin from age 5. So when I was 13, I didn't enjoy the violin. And my dad said, well, you can't stop until you're a teenager. So I hung through it until I turned 13. And that's the point where he said, okay, if you want to stop, you can. And that's when I decided, okay, no more of that. And I started listening, and I loved guitars. And I'm not sure why. I went to a summer camp when I was a kid.
They're awesome.
Yeah. And the camp counselor played a Strat. And I just thought that was the best thing I had ever seen. And so that kind of started a lifelong love of guitars and guitar playing and just guitarness in general. So I kind of, at that point, started I just was a sponge for guitar music at that time. And that's sort of what changed everything for me.
Well, thank God for that summer camp, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, but how did you get to bass, though, after that? How did you...
Bass, that's another weird one because at that time, well, I moved to Barbados and I was there and I had a group of friends and we were all budding guitar players. None of us could play, but we all loved guitar. And at one of our jams, you know, somebody said, oh, well, somebody needs to play the bass, and nobody wanted to. And I didn't know anything about bass, and I had never held one or thought about it. But there was a bass in the room, so I said, oh, okay, I'll try it. And I just put it on, and the great thing about the bass was I just loved the low notes right away. And I just felt like, oh, yeah, this is what I've been feeling and looking for.
That's so good, man. I love it. How about you, Russ? What were your parents playing and stuff as a kid?
Okay, so my dad was a professional guitar player, and he was a huge Chet Atkins fan. And then out of that whole genre of that kind of fingerstyle picking, we stumbled on like Lenny Bro, you know, and then that was kind of it. Like, as far as a guitar player, still, I feel to this day, there's no one in the whole world, even Tommy Emmanuel or any of these guys, that can top this guy. And he's been dead since 1987 or something like that, you know. So Lenny Bro was the king in our house. Like, if you mentioned guitar, then that was where you would go to access the best playing in the world. And, you know, I could barely play any of that stuff. Now I can actually play some of his arrangements, and they're absolute genius and just so beautiful. So that was a real head start for me. And yeah, my dad was playing, you know, middle of the road country tunes. You know, I joined his band as a bassist, and vocalist, because he was playing the guitar parts to all these older type songs. You know, we would play Army and Navy veterans. We would play Elks Club. You know, play any gig that kind of suited his style, his genre. And yeah, there's a lot of gigs going on. I'll mention he didn't really pay me that well. It was an offer from another band. And I said, they're going to pay me $100. He got all mad. He's like, how could they, you know, they're trying to steal you away.
They're poaching. They're poaching.
Yeah, they're